Our past recipients are Emma Kuhn, Margaret Doty, the Red Hook Fire Department and Rescue Squad, John Kuhn and Ron Chando, the Reverend Fred Cartier, Jack Lewis, Jack Gilfeather, Robert Bowman, and his bride is here this evening. I'm very happy to see Alma. Kenneth Geek, Kenneth O'Gloughlin, and Nicholin Weaver. They made a big mistake, but I took it anyway. It was great. Before we have our meal, we want to thank the Rotary's Interact members for stepping in and helping with the tables. Interact members are Red Hook students in grade 9th through 12th. They are our future Rotarians and have accomplished a lot on their own. When Carl speaks, I'm sure he'll let us know a few of the things that they did and what they accomplished this year. And they're going to be waiting on your tables, and from what I understand, only one has waited on tables before, so beware. And let's make sure they learn the right way. Right, guys? Right. Okay, and I thank you again for coming. And ready, Joe? Ready to go. Meal is ready. Do you want to go by tables? We'll go with table 1. Loretta, you want to go up first? Leave it on. I hope everyone enjoyed their dinner. And again, there is more there if anyone wants to have a second helping. There's lots of food left. I do have to tell you a story. And Joe and John O'Han are cooking the dinner, and they were here quite early. And they've been preparing. And around, I think it was about 5:30, 5:15, we found that the ovens did not work. And they could not be repaired. I immediately left the kitchen because Joe wasn't a happy person, which I don't blame him. So he cooked this meal without any ovens, and it was delicious. We're going to proceed. Joe and the girls and young men are going to be serving us desserts and dessert and coffee. And if there's more wine there, there's more soft drinks if you're interested. And we do have a cake there with the Rotary emblem, which also, again, is a story. Every year that I order it, they use the machine at Stop and Shop. And this year, they didn't have the machine working. So a young girl, so she had to be at least, maybe 18 years old. She hand-painted it with the cream, and it's absolutely beautiful. And they were taking pictures of it at the store. So if you get a chance, take a peek at it. So everything kind of worked together today. Everything comes out well. Okay. Okay, Loretta, are you ready for this? First, I want to tell everyone, when I spoke to Loretta, and we sent her a letter, we didn't hear from her, we were very nervous, we finally reached her, and she says, well, it's not going to be anything big, it's going to be nice and quiet. I says, no, it's a nice meal, nice and quiet, you're really going to enjoy it, it's going to be family and friends, really nice. Loretta, I lied. This is a dinner roast. But we all love you. and we all appreciate what you have done for our community. You've shared your expertise to the landscaping of the library, which I didn't know, and I thank you for that. You're a member of the Women's Auxiliary, and in your spare time, you agreed to chair the 2012 Red Hook Bicentennial. You are a prime example of the Rotary Foundation Citizen of the Year. Let me introduce our chairperson, Carl Dowden.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone this evening. The Red Hook Rotary Club, about five years ago, decided that we would form a charitable foundation, and our Red Hook Rotary Foundation is the sponsoring organization for this dinner tonight. So part of your ticket price is tax deductible, and if anyone is inclined to make an additional donation to the club, there are some donation cards on your table, or there should be. Our foundation got started because back about 5, 6, 7 years ago, unfortunately there were several children in the Red Hook area who had cancer, and their families were having difficulty paying for medical bills, paying for gas to get to hospital and doctor's appointments. And like a lot of things in Rotary and the community, Nikki Weaver said, we should really do something about this. So we put our mind to starting the Red Hook Rotary Foundation, and one of our goals is to provide medical assistance. If it's paying for prescription drugs that aren't covered by insurance, paying for gas, paying for an amulet to get to doctor's appointments, anything related to medical expenses. The other thing we do is we provide an education and a vocational scholarship to a high school senior each year. This year we gave out 2 $1,000 scholarships. So that's another part of what we do. The other thing I wanted to speak about is the Interact Club, the young people who are servers tonight and cleaning up the tables. The Interact Club was started about 25 years ago, and it's a Rotary-sponsored club in the high school. It's international community service club, just like Rotary is, and they do various projects in the Red Hook area. Coming up, actually this Sunday, we're going to be down at Montgomery Place doing some cleanup down there. This coming weekend is called Make a Difference Day, and the Interact Club participates in Make a Difference Day by helping out down at Montgomery Place. In April is Global Youth Service Day, and again we usually go to Montgomery Place and help do some spring. We put things away in the fall, and then in April we put things out for the springtime. The Interact Club is not this week, next weekend, November 3rd. We're going to New York City to the United Nations for the Rotary UN Day. Many people probably don't know, but Rotary is one of 3 non-governmental organizations that have a permanent office at the United Nations. One of the reasons for that is because when the United Nations was organized, 45 Rotarians were on the organizing committee. They decided that we needed an organization in the world like United Nations, and they were instrumental in putting it together. So there's going to be about 1,800 Rotarians and Interact students from around the world coming to the United Nations on Saturday, November 3rd, to hear about different Rotary projects that are going on around the world. Our biggest project that we started, Rotary International started in 1985, was to rid the world, eradicate polio from the world. We're getting very close. As our ads say now, we're this close to eradicating polio in the world. There hasn't been a reported case of polio in the Western Hemisphere since 1998. We have a couple of pockets in Africa, India, and Pakistan that we're working on now, but we're working through the UN, we're working with the World Health Organization, and about 3 years ago, Bill and Melinda Gates took notice of what we're doing, and their foundation has already donated over $500 million to our cause. And so those are some of the things that Rotary does. Those are some of the things that the Interact Club has been doing. And
ShelterBox.
Oh, ShelterBox. Thank you, Susan. ShelterBox is another big thing that we have just taken on in Red Hook. Our Interact Club decided that they wanted to become what's known as ShelterBox Heroes. And they have committed to raise $1,000 a year for 3 years. Each shelter box costs $1,000, so they're going to raise enough money to buy one shelter box each year for the next 3 years. And what a shelter box is it's like a trunk. You know, some people know a steamer trunk. It's about that size. It has a tent that will sleep 10 people. They have a water purification system that will purify water for those 10 people for up to 3 years. They have cooking equipment. They have bedding. If it's going to a tropical area, they have mosquito nets. They have games and toys for children. They have hammers and tools so that they can help try to rebuild things. It's amazing what they get into this box. And it was started by a Rotarian in England, and he was sitting there and watching a news report about a disaster, an earthquake or a hurricane or something somewhere in the world, and he said, you know, those poor people, they have no place to live. And he was a pilot in the Royal Air Force, and his wife just turned and looked at him and said, well, what are you going to do about it? And that's how ShelterBox started. He went to his Rotary Club, and he said, we really should be doing something to help these people. And from that, it grew into, it's not officially a Rotary International project, but every Rotary Club, practically every Rotary Club in the world is supportive of it. And they now have these shelter boxes displaced all around the world. They have shelter box teams so that when there is a disaster, the team goes within 4 hours there wherever the disaster is, they're there. They're checking it out to see if shelter boxes are needed. And then within 24 hours, shelter boxes are there. Unfortunately, fortunately for the people, but a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, when the earthquake hit Haiti, we sent over 80,000 shelter boxes there. They housed 500,000 people in these tents, in the shelter boxes. Unfortunately, today, 250,000 of those people are still calling the shelter box their home. But at least they have that, and they started to have a problem because the Haitian government didn't want to they said, we don't need any help. We don't need the United States or anybody else sending us money, right? So they weren't going to let the shelter boxes in. What happened is because it was a Rotary project, they went to the government leaders and said, oh no, this isn't outside government help. There are Rotary clubs in Haiti, and they're the ones bringing this in. The government said, okay, that's okay. So fortunately, they let us bring the shelter boxes in. So that's what our young people are doing, and that's what Rotary's doing. So thank you very much.
I'm going to bring Glenn up. Glenn is the co-chair of the International Committee at Rotary. It's Dave Wright and Glenn, and I'd like to have him make an introduction.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming. In Red Hook, we have been hosting exchange students and sending exchange students, our high school 10th and 11th graders around the world for probably 40 years. This year, our student is a young man from Turkey. His name is Ege Asha. He's back there and he's helping. He's a wonderful young man, and I would hope that all of you would reach out and introduce yourselves to him and possibly invite him to do something. This is something that I've been involved with for 15 years, and my wife Susan and I have made friends with families of exchange students who have been to Red Hook from all over the world. I can honestly say we probably have a bed to stay in any continent in the world. And except for Antarctica, yeah. We've never had anyone from Antarctica, that is true. And it's just truly been a wonderful experience. So I wanted you to know Ege was here. And for those of you who have high school age students, it would be really nice maybe to have someone come forward and talk to us about maybe sending your son or daughter abroad. It's been a really wonderful thing for us. And it's really a great thing for our community. I think our high school kids get so much from having students from all over the world. And we've literally in my 15 years have had people from every continent except Africa. And we've had in our district in the Hudson Valley, we have had students from Africa, although not recently. So if anybody wants more information about it, feel free to contact me. I'm pretty easy to find. And yes, thank you, Susan. This year we are fortunate enough to have sent 2 students on youth exchange, and we have Emily Avis, and her mom and dad are here, and Walter Avis is a Rotarian, and she's in northern Thailand, which is a phenomenal experience. And we have Sydney Block, who's in Brazil, not too far from Sao Paulo. And he will have an equally fabulous experience. And as someone whose daughter was an exchange student from Red Hook in 1997 and 98, who was in France, I just can't begin to tell you the experience that it is for these kids. So it's just one of the, we're really trying to spread the word about what we do in Rotary, Red Hook Rotary, and frankly Rotary all around the world, where I know Carl gave you a little insight into the foundation. We've got about 1.2, 1.3 million members around the world. Susan and our daughter lives in Europe, and we can go to a meeting and we're always treated like family. And this is a bit of a sales pitch here too. That's okay, right? We would love to speak to some of you about becoming members. We really do a lot of work in the community. We don't really pat ourselves on the back enough. I don't think although we're doing a better job marketing ourselves, thanks to people like Judge Treebwasser, wherever he is, he's doing a great job. But I still think we've been sort of under the radar to a certain degree. And I would hope that some of you would come for breakfast on Tuesday morning. You're always welcome. Just show up. It's on us. We would love to have you. And we would love for you to learn about Rotary, Red Hook Rotary and Rotary worldwide. I think we just, we're non-political. We don't give a darn about, this party or that party. We just want to do good things in the community and worldwide where possible within our limits. And we're really a lot of fun too. So I'm gonna leave you on that note that we're really a lot of fun. Take care.
I'm back. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to invite our president of our club to come up and just say a few words. And his name is Bruce Marton. Most of you know him. Bruce.
Thank you, Nikki. So I actually didn't know that I was going to be asked to say a few words, so I will manage to keep it very brief, and we'll move on with the agenda. But I do have the honor of being the Rotary Club president this year, and working with all of the fine people that are in the Rotary Club of Red Hook, some of whom you've heard from tonight. The Rotary Club, as I think you can tell from what you've heard, is about service. The motto being service above self, so it's a service organization. We endeavor to provide service in the community and service worldwide, and I won't elaborate. I think you've heard a lot about some of the initiatives of Rotary and some of the things that are happening here in the community, and some of the things that are happening worldwide because of Red Hook Rotary and because of Rotary International. About 2 weeks ago, I asked Nikki, what do I need to do? And she said nothing. She said, I'll introduce you as president of the club. So I was picturing that I'd get to sit in the back there, and she'd say, Bruce is the president, and I could stand up and wave my hand and then sit back down. But she gave me a task, and that is to introduce a couple of new Rotarians and a couple of honorary Rotarians, and I'm going to do that. But seriously, before I do that, I'd like to thank Nikki and Carl for what they did to pull this event off. Nikki, you did a wonderful job. Thank you. Thank you. As a matter of fact, last year, Nikki was the Citizen of the Year, and we couldn't ask her to work on her own dinner, so I don't know how we ever pulled off Citizen of the Year last year, but it did happen, and thanks, Nikki, for all that you do. So we do have, in Rotary, we have a concept of an honorary member. These are members that are brought in on an annual basis by the vote of the club. They can attend meetings, and they assist us along with what we do. And some of those folks are here tonight. In no particular order, our honorary members are John Kennedy. I don't believe he is here tonight. Stan Tremper. Both of those individuals are former regular Rotarians. In the room tonight, Sue McCann is an honorary Rotarian. And also in the room tonight, Terry Weaver is an honorary Rotarian. Also, we have 3 very new Rotarians in Red Hook, and I believe all 3 of them are with us tonight. Pat Panisi is a new Rotarian with us. Vicki Perry is with us tonight, and she's a new Rotarian. And Stephanie Fitzpatrick, I saw her earlier, and she is with us tonight also. So with that duty done, I'm going to turn it back over to Nikki, and thank you for giving me just a couple of minutes, but I will give it back to the person that really knows what's going on, and we'll carry on with the ceremony.
Thank you. At an early age, if I wanted something done, I used to just wink my eyes, and try to look pretty. Now I've learned at my age, I let them come in thinking that they're a guest and lock the door. And I let them know what needs to be done. So thank you, Bruce. Okay, I would like to introduce a fellow Rotarian we're helped out a lot with our dinner this evening, Mr. Barry Ramage. And Barry is the president of the Red Hook Public Library.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm very happy to be here on an occasion to celebrate the contributions that Loretta has made to the community. And I'm the president of the Board of Trustees for the Red Hook Public Library. In that capacity, I've had the opportunity to work with Loretta and also observe her commitment and all she's done for the Friends. As we've mentioned earlier, she's a master gardener, and if you drive by our building now, you see her handiwork, and I know she'll agree that many other volunteers had input, but she was one of the main forces behind that, and certainly has spruced up the village or that particular area. It's a beautiful building, and now it looks even better. I think that one of the things when I think of Loretta comes to mind is her dedication to accomplishing tasks that she puts her mind to and she sees will benefit the community. And she really, when she gets a hold of a task, whether it's the big read or the garden or a fundraising project, she is an organizer. If you know her, she is very, very organized, and therefore it's a pleasure to work with her because you know exactly what you're going to get, and you know that when she starts a project, it's going to be a success. So certainly, thank you very much, Loretta. And I guess I'd be Frank and Loretta. Those of you who know them both, they go hand in hand. They've been married 51 years, and I understand close to 52. And many of their projects they work on together. And many of for those of you who haven't seen the children's area of the downstairs of the library, please take your children, your grandchildren, or just walk in the space yourself. And I believe you'll just get a real enjoyment out of the brightness and the younger people that are in that space and able to use it. And we think we're very proud of it. And they've had Frank and Loretta, a lot to do with that. Not only working with the Friends, but if you look at the walls, you'll see the artwork that Loretta painted and Frank with his handiwork, the different shapes of animals that really just great quality work. Frank put in the bench in a very bright reading space in the library, and they just did a really good job of helping and contributing to the benefit of the library. So with that, I guess I'd like to tell a Loretta story. And in this case, Loretta is working at the circulation desk in the library as a volunteer, and in walks a chicken. Now the chicken goes up to the desk and goes book, book, book. And Loretta, being the fastidious person she is, thinks to herself, I better check out this chicken and make sure they have a library card. The chicken has a library card. Loretta checks it out thoroughly, and everything's legit. So she gives the chicken a couple of books. Chicken leaves, and 20 minutes later, chicken is back, returns the books, and says again, you know what I'm going to say, so I'm not going to do it. Loretta gives the books, and the chicken walks out, and 20 minutes later, same thing happens. Back again, returns one batch, grabs another batch. Loretta's thinking, this is very strange. I better check it out. She follows the chicken out of the library. The chicken goes around the back to the pond and into the woods and delivers the books to a great big bullfrog. And Loretta's creeping up closer, and as she gets closer, she hears, as the bullfrog's looking through the book, read it, read it, read it. All right, thank you for appreciating that joke. with that, again, Frank and Loretta, thank you for all you've done for the library, and we appreciate all your contributions.
Thank you, Barry. I also have got a very dear friend of Rotary, the superintendent of Red Hook School, Paul Finch.
So good evening. Nikki gave me permission to roast, so I'm going to roast away. I'd like everyone to grab their bulletin. Okay? Everybody have their bulletin? Open to the first page. When they asked you for a picture, Loretta, you didn't need to give them your mugshot. Although the good news is she was caught speeding from one bicentennial event to another. So it's a real honor to be here to recognize Loretta. The last time I spoke at the Citizen of the Year dinner was for Bob Bowman, and at that time I mentioned that Bob was really a pillar in the community, and those words really fit Loretta equally well. And I have a confession to make. I did not know Loretta all that well prior to the bicentennial. The first time I met her, she was working on the Big Read project, and she came into my office, and I remember very first thought, you know, this is a great grandmotherly sort of figure, you know, silver hair, kind, you know, tea and cookies, rocking chair, read a story on the lap type grandmother figure. Had half a mind to ask her to read me a story that first time I met her, but she was great. And then, you know, as my own grandmother would say, looks can be deceiving. Yes, Loretta is kind. Yes, Loretta looks the part of a young grandmother. Only Loretta is not the tea and cookies type of rocking chair grandmother that you'd expect. She's the grandmother that chases you around the house with the wooden spoon type of grandmother. She's chased me and the school district around for the last year and a half or so with the wooden spoon, and her energy is inexhaustible. And just when you thought the bicentennial was over, here comes Loretta with a spoon saying, we've got one more event to do. Be prepared, and God forbid you forget the event or don't act on it quickly enough. She will fill your inbox in about 2 seconds with gentle reminders. I sent many emails to principals starting with the phrase, guys, Loretta's all over me, you got to help me with this. But she was undoubtedly the right person at the right time, and our community has benefited greatly from having her. And I'll speak for the children of the community who learned a lot about local history in a deep and lasting way throughout the year. And they learned that Red Hook has a history to be proud of, that Red Hook has always been a community filled with people, you know, who value hard work, who value common sense, who value one another. And it's so easy in this time to become cynical or disheartened about the future, but isn't it wonderful that we have people like Loretta and all those who volunteer too. It gives me hope, makes me proud to be a Red Hook resident. And in closing, it gives me great pleasure to present this red spoon to Loretta on behalf of the children of Red Hook who have benefited greatly from the grandmother, young grandmother, who has chased us around this past year. Congratulations, you deserve every honor.
Thank you, Paul. Now you know why I didn't tell you the truth before you walked in. This is just the beginning. I would like to also introduce our town supervisor, Susan Crane.
Good evening. We are among the best of Red Hook. This is dinner that I try not to ever miss, and I don't think I ever have since you started this honorary dinner for 7 or so years ago. And I think that you just so deserve being among all those wonderful people who have contributed so much to Red Hook, because I don't think you have any idea of the impact of the Red Hook Bicentennial. You'd have to be on the outside more than you were. You were too busy to realize, probably, and you have a cadre of people devoted to you whom you have inspired, and maybe with a red spoon. I don't think so, though. I think it's more with her own persona and her own dedication and her values that everybody just can't resist trying to get in on. You know, you want to be part of it. You're quite a remarkable person, and when I see you in meetings, I think, you know, this little bitty person, for heaven's sakes, this little bitty person who's a little younger than I am, and she's a powerhouse. And in this room I'm looking around and I see all of you, and you're all powerhouses, all of you who have been inspired by her meeting after meeting. You have done it. You have done a remarkable thing for the town of Red Hook, to bring us and our values, our rural traditions to the forefront, and I am so proud of each and every one of you. Is the young man who is from Turkey here? Yeah. Ege, we were admonished to give you an invitation, and I don't know if you noticed, but it's autumn here in the Hudson Valley, and I have 2 huge trees on either side of my house. I invite you to come and help rake. Tomorrow would be fine. Welcome to Red Hook. And take our love back to Turkey. I do have to pay him. Well, you know, it would.
What you pay me?
He would definitely be worth it. I bring you greetings from the entire town board. We are deeply grateful for all the work you've done. You are in charge of the weather the next time I plan anything. This woman knows how to pick the days. I try to say everywhere I go that Americans are the most generous people in the world. They volunteer, they give of themselves, their time, and their treasure like no one else in the world. And in this community, you certainly have set the standard, and we thank you. So I will read you the last whereas. Whereas the positive influence through her tireless volunteer efforts of service, dedication, and sacrifice have earned her community-wide and regional admiration. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Red Hook Town Board acknowledges and commends Loretta Campagna for her selfless leadership as chair of the Red Hook Bicentennial Committee and its community achievements, and for receiving the well-deserved honor of Red Hook Rotary's Citizen of the Year. Congratulations, Loretta.
Sorry, I lost something. Thank you, Susan. And I want to thank you also. You're always there when I give a call. And where are you? There you are. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sue. Okay. Okay. I know Paul did it. It had to be Paul. Okay. I'd like to ask Harry Colgan to speak for Dee Dee Barrett. Thank you. He knows how slow.
Good evening, folks, and Loretta. It's my pleasure to speak on behalf of Dee Dee. I'm not nearly so handsome as either you or Dee Dee, for that matter. She's our current Assembly representative in the Assembly of the State of New York, and she's prepared a citation for you. And as Sue did, I won't read the whole citation, which has more than a little bit of your history of work in the community, which is just wonderful. But it goes on to say, whereas the recipient further exemplifies selfless citizenship by chairing the Red Hook Bicentennial Committee, and whereas such service, which is truly the lifeblood of every community in this great state, so often goes unrecognized and unrewarded, now therefore be it resolved that as a member of the Assembly of the State of New York, in and for the 103rd District, I recognize that in Loretta Campagna, our community and the great state of New York have an outstanding citizen who's most worthy of this esteem. And it's signed Dee Dee Barrett, member of the Assembly. She's our Assembly person only for about 6 more weeks. And she has a new district. As you know, we've all been redistricted. Can I say that word? And our new Assembly person for next year is in this room somewhere, Kevin Cahill. But this is a political shuffle. the once every 10-year political shuffle. And thank you for all your work. And I'll give you this citation right from Albany.
Harry is also a member of Rotary. I would now like to introduce someone that's really helped me a lot with this dinner. She knows Loretta quite well, and without her, I would not have been able to get as far as we have. Sandy Marton.
Just put this on the floor.
You're not going to charge you rent for it, right?
Good evening. Loretta did not know I was going to speak tonight because I didn't tell her. Just a couple things. I, like Barry, have to just say something to Frank because you can't recognize Loretta without recognizing Frank. I'm sure before they left the house tonight, Loretta has a list for Frank for tomorrow. Or maybe later tonight. And Paul, the cookie thing, Loretta likes cookies. And I could tell you all kinds of things about Loretta. She loves Elvis Presley. She likes science fiction. And much to Frank's dismay, she loves American Idol. I prepared a few words so I wouldn't forget anything. As a 7th grader in Red Hook's junior high, we called it the junior high, not the middle school, most students faced an English teacher who considered failing if you did not dot an I or cross a T. She considered it an incomplete assignment. I kid you not. I swear to you. 2 incompletes equal to 0 in your average. And believe me, a 0 killed your report card grade. Killed it. Mrs. Lutz was her name. Some of you probably had her. And she clearly outlined to her students exactly how she wanted her assignments completed. Heading on the right, numbers to the left of the red line of your notebook paper, college ruled. followed by a period, not a dash, not parentheses. We all liked Mrs. Lutz, but at the same time, she really terrified us. Little did we realize at that time that what she was really trying to teach us was organization, proofreading skills, and attention to details, quality that are often overlooked today, or we depend on our computers just to autocorrect. For me, Mrs. Lutz also planted the seeds of loving stationery items and paper products, notebooks, file folders, colored paper, clips, pens, pencils, markers. My own students, I spent many years in the classroom, were subjected to my own crazy system of color coding and organization. And I could spend hours at a stationery store. Loretta and I met 6 or 7 years ago at a Friends of the Red Hook Library meeting. As secretary of that organization, Loretta sat at the end of the long table, partially hidden by a giant 3-ring binder and 6 newly sharpened pencils in front of her. I said, this could be something good. Before you knew it, I became president of the Friends of the Library, and we decided to embark on a huge project, the Big Read. The Friends of the Library sponsored the Big Read, which was a community-wide event centered around a single book. We chose Fitzgerald's Great Gatsby to promote our library, improve literacy, attracting reluctant readers, and renewing interest in reading. Loretta served as chairperson for that event, even going to Minneapolis for the little convention they had with Frank. She helped to create a calendar of programs and events designed to reach out and appeal to people of all walks of life. Our Big Read experienced tremendous success, in large part to the organizational efforts, attention to detail, and effective leadership of Loretta. Before the Big Read was over, the phone rang at Loretta's. Red Hook Bicentennial calling. And then in turn, my phone started to ring. Loretta here, the Bicentennial's calling. And after working with Loretta on these projects for so many years, I believe she has had many, many Mrs. Lutzes in her life. Thanks to Mrs. Lutz, I am no stranger to organization. I have worked with many organized people in my day. I worked with Nikki Weaver, where are you, Nikki, for over 15 years. She's a queen of organization, in charge of multi-million-dollar budgets. But I have to say, nobody does it better than Loretta. She's got us all beat, hands down. Loretta approaches a project with a well-thought-out plan, and yes, it's divided into binders, notebooks, and files. It is color-coded, marked with stickers, colored pens, and labels. I know we are all here to honor Loretta as the Rotary Citizen of the Year, but tonight has another purpose as well. The real reason we are here is for something else. When Loretta walks into a Staples store, they play Hail to the Queen. The salesman, if he's working on a commission, he knows his numbers are going to be great for that day. And for that reason, Staples has asked me to present you with Staples Customer of the Year. Now that the bicentennial is over, Staples executives fear that stocks will fall drastically, and they implore you to get involved with something else. In fact, that is why in the presidential debate last night, both candidates kept bringing the focus back to the economy instead of staying focused on foreign policy. You're their secret weapon. Obama says we're on the road to recovery. He bases this on reports from the Staples executives. And Romney, due to an agreement with the Red Hook Rotary, will not announce economic specifics until after this dinner. And by the way, you can fact check all of this. Loretta, there's nobody better to receive the award of Citizen of the Year than you. And I look forward to our next project. Take her certificate here.
Let me do it. Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Sandy, is this yours or the Loretta's to be returned to Staples? Oh, okay. Thank you. Sandy and I have known each other quite a few years, and because due to this event and due to Loretta, we've found each other again and hope to be speaking to each other down the road again. I would like to also introduce Ben Trout, County Legislator.
Thank you. Good evening. I noticed that our county executive, Mark Molinaro, is here, and I'm not quite sure how I got up here before him. However, at a lot of events, it seems like I present right after he does, and I always thought that didn't make a lot of sense because it's like, you ever been to a concert where like the warm-up band goes last? I mean, I can't get over it. It's like, you know, if that were to happen tonight, I feel like by the time he turned heel to leave the podium, you know, the last 3 tables and like most of the press would be on its way out the back door. But so I'm really glad that you're all still here tonight. And but none of that really matters because it's not about any of us up here at the podium. It's about you, Loretta. And you know, it just seems like there's so much to say about all that you've done that there's almost nothing left to say because all the work really speaks for itself. But the thing that I would like to touch on just a little bit is all the magnificent work that I saw firsthand with the bicentennial events around Red Hook. I mean, to say that this was an event, I mean, it wasn't just a day or a weekend, or I mean, this was like a way of life. I mean, this was like 6 months long of all of it. And you know, I really started to appreciate it in the scope of working at the county level and seeing the focus that and the newfound and the renewed kind of interest and appreciation for how important our history is. You know, at the county, they're trying to rebuild our history department, and all the communities around Dutchess County are trying to get together historical events, historical education, and you know, no community has been able to do it the way that Red Hook did it with the bicentennial. And And I've just found it on every issue that I see at a county level, and then I also see it at Red Hook's levels, that Red Hook always leads. You know, Red Hook is a leader. And the thing is that, you know, we're not, the one word to sum it all up is exceptional. It was absolutely exceptional. And you know, it's not because we're just exceptional because we are, and that's the end of the day. The thing is, it's because we have exceptional people like Loretta leading the charge. So, Loretta, I just would like to say that, you know, I don't want to spend too much time up here. Tonight's about you, and just, but that you inspire all of us that aspire just to do right by the community. So I would like to just present you with this commendation from the Dutchess County Legislature, offered and signed by both myself as your legislator and Rob Rollison, the chairman, recognizing Loretta Campagna and congratulating her on all of her accomplishments and her being honored as Red Hook Rotary Citizen of the Year. Congratulations. Thank you.
Now I would like to introduce our mayor, Ed Blundell.
Good evening, good evening. Point of fact, Rotary folks, when you pitch, do you tell folks when you meet?
Yes.
Judge Jonah here always talks to me, Ed, join, but it's like, hey, 7:30 in the morning, too early for me. That being said, Loretta, when do you wake up in the morning?
Never goes to sleep.
But anyway, you'd answer the question, when does a Campagna household wake up? I thought so. And Frank, you up before that or after? Yeah. Because I wonder, it's a serious question because they do so much. It's unbelievable. It's like when you look back to the Big Read, rather, the Great Gatsby started it, and then this thing was unbelievable. Ben used great words, exceptional. But thanks so much, and I'm delighted as the village mayor to be your mayor, meaning they are village residents, so we have a little extra pride in this thing. And even though it was the town bicentennial, we, at all our speeches and all our events, we're so glad that the Campagnas and the committee, but Loretta led the charge, and people have made jokes and different things, but I saw those binders and different things, and I had just become mayor, and I said, you know what, I'll help, but I'm not getting right in the middle of this thing because this lady's on it. So it's, and it was unbelievable starting in the Elmendorf and working forward and different things you did all summer, and we joked a couple times. People in Red Hook could really do a staycation this year with the economy being a little off and perking back up now, but it really gave the local folks a great history lesson, plus a great entertainment base for the whole summer. And I'm staring right at you and your family, but thanks so much for doing it. And in our resolution, we too do these formal things. I think I have to flip out my glasses, but I think I left them on my table. But in essence, we have the long, oh, there we go, another guy over 60. Are these hip or nerdy? I can't tell. But we'll go to the last couple of resolution pieces here. I do proclaim that we recognize Loretta Campagna for her commitment and distinguished service to the community affairs outlined above, and service to the village of Red Hook and the town of Red Hook. On behalf of the village of Red Hook, we extend our best wishes for all of our future endeavors, and be it further resolved that a copy of this citation, suitably embossed, be transmitted to Loretta Campagna at a gathering honoring her recognition set this date, 23 October 2012. So we'll give that to you, and thanks so much.
Thank you, Ed. I would now like to introduce Assemblyman Kevin Cahill.
Usually when I can't find my glasses, the right place to look is up here. Guess where Ed's were? In his pocket. I came here tonight, first of all, thank you so much. Thank you to the Firehouse for a really great meal. It really was terrific. And to the young people from Red Hook High School, where my daughter's student taught a couple of years ago, your demonstration of community service is a good example, not just for yourselves in the future, but for the students who are behind you in the school to see that it really can be fun to give back to the community. So congratulations to you as well, and thank you. And to the Turkish exchange student, don't leave before we have a chance to talk. I just came back from Turkey a few weeks ago. I want to find out where you're from. Izmir. I spent some time there. I went to 7 synagogues in Izmir.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is always a very special occasion when an individual gets recognized by their community, but it is something of a multiple when that recognition comes from an organization that is synonymous with community service around the globe, and that's what Rotary is. You heard mention of the fact that Rotary is able to get into some third world countries where governments themselves can't get in. That is an absolute fact. It is something that happens with regularity all through Africa, all through other emerging nations where governments try, but they're perceived as being imperialist or interfering. But when Rotary decides to go in, or other international charitable organizations go in, they're welcome with open arms, and once and for all, the good work that needs to be done starts to get done. That's what Rotary does internationally. We all know that in our communities, Rotaries are oftentimes the centerpiece of community service. In the community that I grew up in, the Rotary is responsible for reclaiming the park that introduced many new immigrants for about 25 or 50 years into the greater Mid-Hudson Valley area. The Rotary Park in downtown Kingston is a real gem, and it was done exclusively by volunteers, exclusively by Rotary volunteers and others who decided they wanted to help out. The Rotary is also known for doing so much else in particular, and I think this is very important, their investment in young people, their investment in the scholarship of young people, their investment in the culture and the enrichment of young people. So once again, congratulations to the Rotary for that. And for them to single out this amazing woman for an honor really means something special. When I walked in and I introduced myself to Loretta, I said, "I know all about you." And I started telling her that I knew about the Big Read, and I knew about the library, and I knew about the plantings, and I knew about the bicentennial. And then somebody said, I think Frank said, "We had a business in Kingston for about 25 years. And I said, I didn't know that. I come to find out not only did the Campagnas have a business in Kingston throughout the latter part of my early adulthood, but that business was in my neighborhood. I'm a Midtown kid, and it was next to Tony's Pizzeria on Broadway in Kingston, and then it moved on to Dwyer's Paint Store. If you know anything about anybody from Kingston, you know we only tell you about places that used to be. You know, we're kind of like Irish in that way. You know, oh yeah, make a left where the post office used to be, go right now next to the bus station. Well, it's not there anymore, it's a Rite Aid. But, you know, and that's kind of how we give directions in Kingston. So when Frank said he was on the corner of Field Court, I said, "Oh, you mean Dwyer's Paint Store?" He said, "No, I think it was a hotel," proving that Frank is actually an honorary Kingstonian, because it hasn't been a hotel since 1900. So I learned a lot more about Frank and Loretta. I then came to find out that their son, Frank, who's continuing the business a block and a half from my mom's house where she still lives and where I grew up. In fact, we used to hide out in front of the building when we were playing hide and seek at night. That it's where my future stepdaughter's boyfriend is still employed and has been for several years. So, Loretta, I guess I didn't really know all that much about you when I came in, but I tried. I'm sorry. I will tell you that in addition to that business history that the Campagnas have in Kingston, their legacy lives on now many, many years later from some of the good work that they did. I did not know this when I walked in, but I learned of it, and now that I know that it's true, I can tell you that the Christmas celebration that you witness, if you happen to have a need to go to one of the hospitals or go down Broadway for any particular reason, when you see the decorations on every light pole, when you see the Christmas tree on the corner of Henry Street and Broadway, when you see that street light up, which is now a very multicultural street, these are the two individuals you can thank for that, because they did that in the 1970s, the 1980s, and it endures through this day. That's the kind of great citizens you have here today, and that's what this honor is all about. This honor is about someone who has made it her business to make a lasting impression on the community that she calls home. I'm new to Red Hook in terms of being a representative. I am not new to Red Hook in terms of knowing about it. I've had friends here for many years. Where's Jonah? We've known each other for many years. When I found out that I was going to represent this town, I talked to an old friend of mine who I used to serve in the state legislature with, but he moved on to something else. I cannot for the life of me remember his name. Oh, it was Mark. Something. Italian. You related to the Campagnas at all? And when I got here, Harry and Ed were just so kind as to show me around and make sure I got to know everything about Red Hook that I didn't know already. And I did know an awful lot. It's a great place. Used to be, still is a great place to come for a cheap movie, a good ice cream cone. And if you want to get a nice sandwich, there's a couple of good places to do that as well. And I've been doing it for many years. It's a real honor to be here. And when you go through town and you see just how much of a community this is, it is because of your good work and work of people that you inspire. So, Loretta, I have someplace down here a very, very long proclamation that, unlike my predecessors, I'm going to read every word. No, it's actually very short, and I won't read it at all. It's merely a citation from the state legislature. You got a proclamation from Dee Dee, who has got the great privilege of representing this community after Mark did for so many years, and I'll be taking over in January, I hope, unless no opposition beats me. It could happen. So with that, I do want to say on behalf of the state legislature, past, present, and future, we owe you a great debt of gratitude, and congratulations to you on this very high honor.
It's time for Mark. I'm not done yet. I purposely left Mark for last. I figured if he was left for last, the balloons would go up automatically. I didn't order any. There's no balloons. Thought for sure balloons would go up. And he and I have this problem with times. I'll say it's one time, he'll say it's another time. So, of course, Mark goes with his time. And this time I figure he's not going to be late. So if I wait till last, he'll be on time. So I have known Mark for many years. We've worked alongside of each other. We belong to a lot of same committees and events. He has become a very special friend to me. Don't tell him I said that. He is our county executive, and all the residents of our community admire him. Mark Molinaro.
Well, not all of them. I'm not saying anything. There are a couple tonight. I have to tell you, I'm a little bit embarrassed and concerned because I did not realize that I was, the closing act. But I learned a lot tonight. I did. For instance, Ben Trout is funny. And Kevin Cahill knows how to get to Red Hook. I also learned that Loretta is an Elvis fan and loves American Idol, which of course has not been the same since Simon Cowell. But there are openings, and you might consider that. The good news is Elvis has a small little hut in Cuba. If you'd like to visit him, he's ready for you. The other is that I was listening to the presidential advice that you have apparently offered up, and I now know where the binders of women came from. Did you give Mitt Romney highlighters as well? Couple paper clips? I want to say a couple things. First, I want to correct something that I just said regarding Kevin Cahill. It was my intention to do so. Kevin and I had the great pleasure of serving together in the State Assembly. And when I say pleasure, it's a bit of an exaggeration. But we both served in the State Assembly together. What you might not know is that I, in fact, assisted Kevin Cahill in his very first election to the State Assembly. I was just a teenager, only 2 or 3 years ago, and was responsible for making some phone calls. Having worked for then Assemblywoman Eileen Hickey, I got to know Kevin relatively well. He and I had during the time we served together a great relationship. Red Hook is very fortunate to have Kevin assume responsibility, and he will, unless he loses in a massive write-in campaign, to assume responsibility as our state assembly member. He's a good friend. He's a great public servant, and believe me, I know he knows where Red Hook is because I in fact thought he lived here while I represented Red Hook. He was always at Max's or Holy Cow, and I wondered why he was here so much. And then of course I saw the enrollment numbers in his district, and he really didn't need to show up in Kingston. It was just fine. But Kevin, congratulations and welcome to Red Hook. And Red Hook, welcome Kevin Cahill. I too had Betty Lutz. Yes, and I was the last class to come through the junior high when it was called a junior high. Now, I have to tell you, I did not have Betty Lutz for English classes. I had her for public speaking. She was my first public speaking teacher, and you should not hold that against her. She apparently there was a class on brevity, and I think I was absent that day. So I apologize for that, but she was tough. In fact, she had a nickname that I won't use today, but it fit. It was an alliteration: Betty, and then something else, and then Lutz. It was not a derogatory. Well, it was derogatory, but not something. It could be said on daytime television. That's what I'm telling you. It is a real privilege to again be here tonight. I have only missed one in all of the years that you've held this event, and I've had the good fortune of representing and serving Red Hook in a number of capacities. Loretta, there's really no way for us to know what you're thinking, although in a few moments you might share with us what you're thinking. But you may not think that you have made a profound impact on the community. And if that were what you were thinking, you would be profoundly and woefully wrong. This community, and I now have been able to serve a number of communities, and now as county executive I get to work closely with all 20 towns, 8 villages, and 2 cities that make up this community. This community, as Ben noted and everyone here knows, is in many ways exceptional. It is not exceptional because of elected leadership, although we've produced great elected leaders. I'm not talking about myself, Glenn. I'll wait till I die, and then you can judge. Wait till 100 years from now when they open that time capsule, see that bobblehead and say, boy, he had a fat head. Which, of course, is true. It's more, it's more the ego. But nevertheless, it's not because of elected leadership. And yes, we have produced great elected leaders, many of whom have contributed in so many ways to this community. It's not because we have great business people, although we do have great business people who commit themselves to service to this community. And it's not because we have great clubs and organizations like the Chamber or Rotary. It's because we have great people. Every individual in this community, in one way or another, finds a way to contribute to its success. And for the last several years, and certainly over the last year, no one, in my opinion, and since I have the microphone, my opinion matters at the moment. No one, at the moment, never matters otherwise, no one has contributed more to the quality and character of life in the town of Red Hook and its 2 villages over the last year more than you. And you... And please, don't be embarrassed by the accolades you received today, and don't shirk from them. You have earned them. You have earned them because you have helped us to better understand our history, where we have been. You have helped young people to be inspired to read these things they call books. We have them. I mean, think of the horror of sitting down with your young child at their crib and reading an iPad to them, or worse yet, having the iPad read to them. But thanks to the Big Read, thanks to your commitment to making the Friends of the Red Hook Library successful and the libraries in this community successful, you've reminded folks that we are able to take great journeys every day if we just open those things we call books. And in the process of that commitment, both to the bicentennial celebration, to the Big Read, to the Red Hook Library, and in all other capacities, you have helped this community take a great journey to remind us who we are and how we hope to live. And for that, you are not only deserving, but you have earned the recognition you received tonight. And I join all of your friends and family and every resident of this community. And today, I join all 300,000 residents of Dutchess County in extending to you our congratulations, our thanks, and many blessings for all you will do in the years to come. Thank you. Now, I too have a citation that actually I get to one-up. As chief executives get to do certain things, and since I love parades, I think you deserve one. Now, I can't line up great big puppets. I am not that talented. Ed Blundell and I will walk down the street, but we don't play instruments. Clearly, he's having a hard time finding his eyeglasses. We're in trouble. But I, on behalf of Dutchess County government and the people of Dutchess County, wish to extend to you this citation, but more importantly, inform you and let all of you know that tomorrow, October 24, 2012, will be and is Loretta Campagna Day in Dutchess County. Congratulations and God bless.
What we're going to do now, I was just thinking what we're going to do now, is we have got the silent auction, and Susan Simon suggested that we do the silent auction first before Loretta says a few words here, and we have a few things for Loretta, because I'm afraid all of you will leave once Loretta goes home. So, and I want Loretta and her family to participate. All right, Loretta, would you like to come up, please? This was painless. Wasn't this painless? Loretta, due to your hard work and your selfless work and devotion and contribution to our community, the community is better than it was last year. And we want to thank you again. I realize that you were stunned when I gave you that little phone call. We all go through that. It's amazing how the volunteers that give so much to this community, they don't realize it, and you didn't realize it. And I want to give you a pin. This here is you are now an honorary member of the Red Hook Rotary for 2012.
Well, thank you very much.
Why don't I do it now?
Thank you.
And here is Red Hook Rotary Club, Service Above Self, Citizen of the Year, Loretta Campagna, October 23rd, 2012. Welcome, and welcome to our family.
Thank you, Nikki. I don't know where to start. Thank you all so very, very much for coming out this evening. Thank you to the Rotary for this great honor. I am humbled by it, and at the same time, I'm excited by it. Being Citizen of the Year for Red Hook is something I never, ever thought of, and I'm just honored to have this occasion. I'm not a very good public speaker, so I brought notes with me, so I'm going to try to do the best I can. First of all, I'd like to thank the Rotary for making this evening possible. And I'd like to thank my husband, Frank, who supports me in all that I do. And he encourages me to always be the best that I can be. To my family and to everyone in the audience tonight for taking the time from your very busy lives to come here tonight to share this honor with me. You don't know what it means to me to have you all here. Although I stand here before you alone, I did not achieve this honor alone. And I would not be here tonight if it wasn't for the very talented and dedicated people I have worked with over the years. So I would like to add my congratulations to everyone in this room, because most of them I worked with. Thank you. Their efforts are a testimony to the important role volunteers play in our society today. Since my retirement, I have spent many of my volunteer hours working towards making our library a center of our community. It has been my pleasure to have had the opportunity to work with so many dedicated people in the Friends of the Red Hook Public Library, and
for the Board of Trustees of the library, helping to make the library the community showcase it is today. I am very proud and honored to have been a part of that. For the past 2 years, my efforts, as you have heard tonight, have been focused mainly as chairperson of the bicentennial celebration for Red Hook. It has been an exciting and rewarding 2 years, to say the least. During those 2 years, I have been privileged to work with and to witness firsthand the generosity of this community in money, time, and effort to make the bicentennial the great celebration of Red Hook it has been. I have been privileged to work with a great deal of talented and dedicated individuals, and as I said before, the bicentennial did not happen just because of me alone. If I didn't have all these people working on it, it never would have happened, so they deserve a great round of applause also. The memory of our bicentennial celebration will remain with us for many years, and it is my sincere hope that the message to our future generations to treasure and preserve our rural heritage will not be forgotten. Anyone who knows me, they know that I do not like being the center of attention. I would much more prefer to be in the background. That being said, in the past 2 years, I have given numerous talks to organizations, stood before the town board and our 2 village boards on several occasions. I have been on Panda several times and in the newspapers on a regular basis. And today I stand in front of a room of almost 100 people, family, friends, and neighbors. And I really don't like being the center of attention. So why do I leave my comfort zone? The answer is easy, because I love Red Hook. It is my home. I take great pride in telling people that I live in Red Hook, and I want to help to make it the best it can be. Thank you again for this great honor. I will remember this evening always. Thank you.
The members and the directors of Red Hook Rotary Club and the Red Hook Rotary Foundation also applaud Loretta's family. Without the support and without the contributions that they give us, Loretta, it's due to them. We know it's because of your family that you are such an asset to our community, and thank you. There's just a couple of other things I wanted to mention. Is number one was the Rotary Club also has a dog visitation program, and I found that the hospital does not have many dogs. If anyone here has a pet and is interested in the dog therapy program, which the Red Hook Rotary sponsors, could you please let one of the Rotary members or myself, could you let me know? They do wonderful things. My 14-year-old that started the program in Red Hook passed away a few months back, and she still has her sister that does the work, but I believe right now they only have 5, and we did at one time have 12. So if you do know of anyone, or if you have a pet dog that is good to people, let us know, because we really need them. Number 2 is if anyone is interested and knows of someone that you feel gives to our community, like Loretta, and like to our other recipients, let us know. There are applications in the village and in the town halls. And there's many people out there that many of us don't know because they work silently, as Loretta does. They're behind the curtains. They don't realize what they're doing, and the accomplishments are amazing. So if anyone knows about them, about anyone or them, him or her, I think there's only 4 women, Loretta. Is there 4 women that are made Citizen of the Year? Let us know. We need to know the people that are hiding behind the curtain, and that's really doing all the leadership. I also would like to give a special thank you to the fantastic meal that Joe and John have prepared on top of a stove. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Also, I would like to thank the Interact students for doing such a good job. Great job, guys. And I would like to also thank all of you for being here. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to have such successful events every year. Thank you. And everyone drive home safely.
Loretta and Frank.